What's good, folks? It's Nightmare Frame here with a new Warframe video, coming at you with the top 10 must-have, must-use primary weapons right now. These weapons will follow a certain criteria. They need to have scaling potential, good TTK and DPS, and yes, these are two different things. And if a weapon was not put in the list or honorable mentions, doesn't mean it's a bad weapon. But if you're referring to the Ignis and Exceltra, then yes, those are bad weapons. Don't say, oh, but I use this on a certain frame and use this helmet ability. Nah, that's copium mentality. Just accept it. The important thing is that you're enjoying the weapon and it's fun for you. Done. But if you want to be a child and rage and send death threats because this actually happened because I put a certain weapon ranked lower than another or even not on the list, I would advise for you to seek medical help. Seriously. Before we start off with the list, I will be using an unranked Loki. This is my little weapon test dummy. No mods, no arcanes or anything like that, because to make this a fair test. And yes, there won't be any vigilante mods or sentinels equipped with any special abilities. And let's start off with number 10. This is the Kuva Hind. The Kuva Hind is one of the best feeling assault rifles in the game. The weapon is a great single target weapon. Has the 3 fire modes: burst, semi, and full auto. Let's take a look at the build real quick. As you can see here, there is no base damage mods. We're using the galvanized aptitude, which gives us the increase in status chance, and it's a condition overload. Basically, more unique status effects on the target, you deal more damage. Merciless is the best arcane to use on pretty much all of the guns. Unless you're using it as a utility weapon, then you would go with dexterity. Vigilante supplies, you're going to see this a lot, and most of the builds here are going to follow pretty much the same modding principles. Crits, crit damage, hunter munitions, and crazy multi-shot, and with the viral status effect. And this is our go-to. Now, if you don't want to use a Bane, then just use whatever you want, because these weapons are there to deal damage and steal path. Okay, I quickly stacked up the damage bonus. Now let us see how this actually performs. First, we're going to start off with a row of enemies just standing still, just so you can see what it can do without any of the other forms of interference. And as you can see, it shreds. Yes, it's single target, but still, it's one of the best assault rifles, one of the best feeling assault rifles as well. Now, let's try the other fire modes. Here, we'll switch to semi. The semi mode has increased crits. So as you can see there, about 1 to 2 shots. Great damage. So if you're really good at aiming, then this weapon and its semi mode is a weapon for you. Switch to auto. Full auto, it has less crits, but increased status and fire rate. So as you can see, this weapon suits pretty much everyone and their style of play. All right, now we're gonna switch over to a moving environment. There we go. Enemies moving, we still shred them. Now in a real scenario, you're gonna get a lot more fodder enemies. You're not always gonna get heavy gunners left and right. Fodder enemies are just gonna die way faster than this. But we're just showing you its damage potential in its semi mode. Switch to its full auto mode. And it shreds very, very well. But its burst fire is its best mode. And now at number 9, the Tenet Tetra. Now this weapon is from the Sisters of Parvos, which are the Corpus Liches. It has 2 fire modes. It's auto and semi. Its semi is some sort of grenade launcher, does AoE damage. And its auto are projectile shots, pretty much like the Kuva Hind, but projectile. Let's take a look at the builds. Here I have Prime Firestorm because switching between the semi and auto can be really fun, especially if you want to take down specific targets or you just want to sit back and AoE everything else. Prime Shred for the amazing fire rate and punch through. We need that. Of course, Hunter Munitions and Viral. And this weapon is bonus Toxin. Again, the Bane mod. If you don't want to use the Bane mod, do whatever. But if we're going to Seal Path, Bane mods are going to carry you hardcore. And Merciless with the Vigilante. All right, let's take a look at the auto fire. Now we're going to reload and use the semi mode. The semi mode will use everything in your magazine and deal that crazy AoE explosion. So that's why we're using the Vigilante, so we can have ammo mutation and bonus crits. It does have that fall off damage, and you want to get everything within the explosion radius. Again, for these types of weapons, if you don't have prime sure-footed, you can use frames that have stagger resistance or CC immunity. Other than that, try to get prime sure-footed. All right, at number 8, the Zhug Prime, or however you pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm just gonna call it the Zhug. There we go. Let's take a look at the build. Right here, again, we have Prime Bane, and if you notice, we're not using any raw damage mods because we're gonna have all that damage come from Primary Merciless. We've modded it for Viral. We need the fire rate because fire rate is insanely good on this. And because we're also using critical delay, which reduces our fire rate. For to use point strike, we will get a reduction in crits. It's about 65 compared to 78. Here we go. We just touch one enemy. That's it. That's it. Oops. And it has good AoE, especially if enemies are clumped together. This thing completely shreds. Now let's have a look at moving targets. We can just aim in a general direction and things just die. Dropping out speed trigger for bladed rounds. What you can do now, since you have more critical damage, I would suggest to run arcane acceleration in the arcane slot. That's about it. If you were to do it like that, if you want more damage with more critical damage, or you want just raw damage itself, just run arcane acceleration in your Warframe. Now with bladed rounds and arcane acceleration on your Warframe. Of course, the damage is significantly better, but you're sacrificing an arcane slot, which is not really, that doesn't really matter, especially if you're going to be running with Energize and a frame that's, you know, going to be protected. This is perfectly fine. Or then again, you can always get a Riven. Now at number 7, we have the Synapse. Now this is another single target weapon. I know we're just talking about AoE, but this weapon just shreds. Why? It has innate corrosive, and you can mod it for any other element with that innate corrosive, having it strip armor and do other sorts of element. Again, it is a beam weapon, has insanely good crits. Here we go. This is the setup right here. Only downside to this build right now is that we're lacking a Bane mod. What you could do is, of course, use a Riven or heavily depend on Merciless and put a Bane mod. Up to you. But I would say this setup is more comfortable for pretty much any situation. And if you do want to proc more status effects to amplify the damage of aptitude, you can always use a primer. What is a primer? Something that applies other status effects so your main weapon can deal more damage. In this case, I'll be using my gas and cold, which will combine with the innate electricity. It will do gas and magnetic. We have lasting sting for the status duration, weeping wounds to get status chance with max combo, and since this weapon gets infinite combo duration, it's perfect. We're always going to get that increase in status chance. And then killing blow and amalgam for the wind up speed. All right, using the Zorus, since I've already built up combo, I'm gonna throw it. It's gonna proc all those status effects, and boom, we're just shredding. Throw it. If you want a really good single target weapon with juicy crits, then this is your weapon. There you go. That damage is insanely good. All right, and here is Synapse with moving targets. Well, I messed that up. So if you love single target weapons with amazing crits, then this is one of them. Using the Zors to proc status effects to give us more damage on aptitude. Oh. All right, at number 6, we have the Bubonico. Now, this is an infested arm cannon, which takes shotgun mods. In this setup, yes, I am using Prime Point Blank and Merciless together because shotguns lack some unique mods. What you could do is run the Moda setup, which is pretty fun and nice, but will require you to double jump and land quite a lot just to get the increase in status chance and crits. This has innate toxin, so we just put a cold mod and we get viral. Easy, freeing up a mod slot. And with that mod slot, we added fire rates, which is really sad. Here's something really sad. Frail Momentum has the same fire rate as Shotgun Spaz, but gives you reduced damage. I don't know why this is a thing. If DE is gonna see this and fix it, please do, because this makes no sense. What's the point of this mod even existing? Its alternate fire mode throws these weird explosions, which can proc the viral status effects beforehand, before you shoot. Since it's a battery magazine, you don't have to worry about running out of ammo. Now let's try this against moving targets. Again, the explosions will stagger you, so just be careful. Is that a one shot? That's a one shot. There we go. Beautiful. All right. Now at number 5, the Phantasma. One of my all-time favorite weapons. Now, this weapon has no crits. If we take a look at the crit chance, crit multiplier, what makes this weapon so good is that it has crazy reload speed, crazy fire rate as well, and innate elements, which makes it a perfect candidate for Shotgun Savvy. Well, in this case, Galvanized Savvy, the Condition Overload mod. It has 2 firing modes, which deals crazy amount of damage as well if you fully charge it, but we're just gonna quick charge, toss the alternate fire, and then fire away with our main. Or you could just stick with firing on your main, doesn't matter. And this is the setup. We're running a viral heat setup. Now, what makes this setup strong to the viral electricity is because heat ramps out faster and it has linear scaling damage. Now, unlike Toxin, Bleeds, Electricity, Heat has one instance of damage that ramps up over time, and it can double dip with a faction mod in this case. Viral will multiply the damage done, and Heat just does more damage. So we have a lot of raw damage and multipliers. All right, let's see this bad boy in action. Toss alternate fire. It has forced impact. As you notice, I'm not even going for the headshots. No need for headshots. Now let's test this against moving targets. Show you how deadly it is. If you haven't seen this weapon in action, I did use it in my Saren and Necros video. You should go check those out. And with the Necros setup, we can actually make this weapon consistently crit. Now, if you want, you can always run with something that gathers up enemies and just shred them all in one. Huh? Just go in there and aim at their feet. Well, I just go there, just shoot it, just shoot around. That guy's dead. Dead. Look how that damage scales. Dead. Dead. Easy. This weapon is a monster. And now at number 4, the Zeto. Let's take a look at the setup. For here, pretty much similar to most of them. We're running a Galvanized Savvy. Since this weapon's alternate fire can bounce off and spread status effects to like literally anything within the vicinity. Now the downside to this weapon, it has one downside. It doesn't have great fire rates. So we could use Arcane Tempo. Or you can get a ribbon that has multi-shot and fire rate with a negative. Or crit, multi-shot fire rate negative, depending on the ribbon disposition, which isn't too great. All right, here we go. Alternate fire. The alternate fire just spreads all these very, very sexy status effects, even IPS, which is your impact, puncture, and slash. That thing shreds. And it's very good at killing your liches or Sisters of Parvos. Now, what if you want even more damage? Remember what I said about the Zorus? You can toss it, throw your alternate fire, and we're just getting one-shots here. If I can actually aim. Toss it and shoot. Now let's try this against moving targets. Alternate fire. Zorus. And the great thing about blast procs is that they semi-blind enemies, basically reducing their accuracy, so they'll shoot at you less. Now this weapon absolutely shreds, especially if you're running Arcane Tempo, which is fire rate on crit. So now let's see how this weapon does with Arcane Tempo. Here we go. Now this is with Arcane Tempo. Oh, that is disgusting. That is ridiculously disgusting. All right, now at number 3, this weapon is quite a monster. Now the Kuva Charcoal, it is a Kuva weapon. This one has bonus toxin. We have bladed rounds here. No damage mods because we have primary merciless. We went with utility with increased AoE explosion, the blast radius, internal bleeding instead of 100 munitions, since this does forced impact even on its explosion. It is the perfect candidate for internal bleeding. Rhyme rounds for the cold, so we can get a viral combined with its innate toxin. All right, the reason why I went with bladed rounds is because this weapon already has crazy crits, especially with critical delay. We already get over 100% crit chance. Can aim at the ground, doesn't matter, they're still gonna bleed. You don't even need to get headshots. Getting headshots is just, of course, sexier, but you don't even need headshots. Just aim at their body, they will die. And it has great AoE and DPS and KPS. Yes, it has slower fire rates, has annoying reload, but come on. Does the slow fire rate and reload actually matter with this type of a massacre? Now let's try it against moving targets. I don't even need to aim at them. I just move around, shoot. And they're dead. That guy's dead. Those guys are dead. You don't even need to be good at aiming. Just aim at the general direction where the enemies are. You're going to be doing thousands, hundreds of thousands of bleed procs. And of course, if you have other sorts of multipliers, you're going to be doing even more than that, like a Banshee or Mirage. But we're not going to use those frames because then that's just going to fluctuate damage to, you know, the next level. That's about it. It's 596,000 bleeds. There you go. This is the Kuva Charcoal. If you don't have this, get it. And here we are, the infamous Kuva Brahma. Y'all know about this weapon. Y'all definitely know about this weapon. It's been around for a while and everybody went crazy for it. And it's also got, you know, got a little nerf where they reduce the fall off damage and its ammo capacity. All right, let's take a look at the build. It does have innate heat. I would love innate toxin, but I had heat and just always kept it. It was because of the whole gas setup back in the days. Gas in Brahma was just disgusting. Running a similar setup to the Charcoal, but instead of internal bleeding, we're running 100 munitions, and we have to mod it with the double viral. And if we did not have bonus heat, we'll just run a cold mod, and we could have run bladed rounds for even more crits. You can run vigilante supplies or ammo mutation, either one you want. Let's go. You know what? We'll just start off with moving targets because it's the Brahma. We haven't even built up our damage and we're already just killing. It's just that powerful. Oh, everything's dead. Prime Firestorm. There you go. Look at the AoE potential this weapon has. Now, if you don't want to use critical delay, you can always run point strike, or you can just run with arcane acceleration in the arcane slots. But here it is. This is the Kuva Brahma. We didn't even need to show you with standstill targets because this is just it's just an insane weapon. And now for the honorable mentions. We're taking a look at the Tenet Tetra, which is from the Sisters of Parvus as well, with bonus Toxin. Very fun to use weapon, but of course it's a single target weapon and it's a lot slower in damage than the Synapse, but it's still a great weapon and fun weapon to use. Don't need to run the augment. The augment is actually poo-poo, right? You're better off running this setup. And over here we have the Kuva Karak, which is another great feeling assault rifle. One of my favorite assault rifles actually in the game, but it is weaker than the Kuva Hind. It has base magnetic because I use this weapon in Profit Taker because I'm not a Zenith fan. Here we go. As you can see, it shreds. It definitely shreds. And let's take a look at the builds. Here you go. Again, no Bane mods because it has base magnetic. If we had base Toxin, would have just put Prime Cryo rounds and run a Bane mod free slot. All right, now the other honorable mentions is the Kuva Heck. Yes, it is really strong, but 4 shots, single target, very slow. What would make this weapon better? If it had an AoE with its alternate fire, or just have some sort of AoE in general. And better magazine, because 4 shots is just horrible. Okay, let's say you have horrible aim. The enemies move out the way and boom, you're gonna miss a shot. You're gonna have to waste time reloading. So again, it's good, but it's not worth it. Here it comes. The number 1 spot is the Kuvasar. Then what makes this one scale better than the Kuva Brahma is because of its cluster bombs. Now each cluster bomb that spreads and explodes deals blast damage, has its own crits, has its own status chance. They can proc 100 munitions, they can proc viral. They're just disgustingly good. So let's take a look at the build. Again, here we go. This is your go-to build. We want the multi-shot because it increased the amounts of clusters that we get. So this is your go-to for the Kuvasar. Again, we're not going to start with the standstill targets. We're just going to go ham. And did I forget to mention it has 2 firing modes. This is your first firing mode, which is the cannon. Here, let's take a look at the look at those. These are all the cluster bombs that are exploding, dealing their own crits, their own status effects, and everything else. That just completely... Oh, never mind. Yep. Dead. 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 Wait. Dead. No, I missed her head. Dead. 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 Oh, no. There we go. Dead. Dead. Hey, buddy. Dead. And they're dead. You don't even need to look back because you know they're already dead. The best way to use this weapon is, of course, its main firing mode, which is the cannon mode. Those cluster bombs are super disgusting. Now, like, the Brahma does better raw damage, but this one just scales better with its crazy cluster bombs. And yes, it can definitely go to level cap with this bad boy. All right, folks, there you have it. These are the top 10 must-have, must-use primaries right now. Of course, there's going to be something new around the corner, but, you know, at the moment, definitely try these weapons out. If you liked this list and agreed with it, please be sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do refer to the description. And if I triggered you, or you don't like any of these weapons, or you want to strangle me or whatever, you know, leave it in the comment section. I'll look at it, I'll smile, I'll pepe laugh. It's all good. All right, peace out.